Hey lady, welcome to the Postpartum on Purpose podcast. If we haven't met, my name is Anne Marie and I'm wife to James and mom to 4 beautiful kids, ranging from 9 down to 1 with one on the way. My hope is to help other women experience postpartum as a time of grit, growth, and grace. This is episode 52. Hi lady. I am recording this on Thursday morning, unlike the usual Wednesday afternoon or evening. Usually it's Wednesday evening, really. Because my 3-year-old last night got hit in the face with a wiffle ball bat by an unnamed other person, who was also a minor. And so we went to priority care, and the nurse practitioner was very kind, but she said, he's going to need stitches, maybe sedation, he needs to go to the ER. Well, we waited in the ER. Not forever, but for a couple hours, only to be told he just needs a Band-Aid. So we will be getting an ER bill for a Band-Aid and some saline to clean it off, which is a little bit terrible. But a great reminder of why we apply for financial aid, because even though that's a visit that we don't want, and I notated that on the customer satisfaction survey we got this morning, it's not going to break the budget because I already applied for and received approval of financial aid. All right, that aside, that was why this didn't happen yesterday. Today, I wanted to share with you a guest episode from Maria from the Early Pregnancy Loss Association. And I learned about her through my professional work a couple of months back. I learned about her organization, and I really like that they have not secular as in militantly anti-religious, that's not what I mean at all, but just a secular approach to miscarriage and early pregnancy loss. Making sure that we are acknowledging that loss and helping moms get care for it, and just not downplaying, recognizing that it was a life that was lost. So I asked Maria to record a little, an overview of what they do and what they're able to offer. And the thing that I took most away from this episode, and I hope that you will too, in greater detail, obviously, as she explains it, is this idea of making sure that we can get miscarriage care kits into our doctor's offices so that they are available when a person needs them, so that you're not having to send away or remember to, what was that website, what was that organization, but so that they can be readily stocked in the offices that are closest to us. I think this will be easiest if your office is connected to a doctor trained in restorative reproductive medicine, so somebody who's familiar with FEM, NAPR technology, Marquette method, some version of fertility awareness and or natural family planning. I think those would be the easiest places because that's the type of office that's most likely to recognize the humanity of the unborn or the preborn child who was lost, and to recognize the importance of having a dignified burial, if that's possible, right? The pregnancy may have been so early that that's not possible to have a burial. We may not be able to really determine what the fetal contents were. But I think this is really an important topic to cover, and that's why I'm really grateful to Maria for what she shared with us in this episode.
Hello, my name is Maria Servold, and I am the president of the Early Pregnancy Loss Association. We are a small nonprofit based out of Hillsdale, Michigan, and it is our mission that no one suffers miscarriage alone. And I'm so excited today to be here on the Postpartum on Purpose podcast to talk a little bit about postpartum time after miscarriage. So just a little bit about our organization. We founded in 2016, myself and a few other women here in Michigan. And we started because several of us who founded the group had experienced miscarriage and found that the resources available to us after our losses were not great. We felt like we didn't have enough information, didn't really know what to expect emotionally and physically after the loss. We weren't even sure how they happened, why they happened, all these questions. So we founded the Early Pregnancy Loss Association in order to provide resources for women suffering miscarriage, both physical resources, information, and then a little bit for the emotional side as well. So since then, we have launched our miscarriage care kit program, which provides large and small miscarriage care kits to any woman in the country who wants one. We send them around the country for free. We also distribute them through doctors' offices. So it's interesting to think about postpartum time after miscarriage, because really when we think about postpartum, we think about being at home with a baby, right? We think about, perhaps struggling, perhaps, having a lot of emotions. You've got the physical recovery of birth, all these things. But we often think about it most of the time, and rightfully so, in the light of having a baby with you, holding a little baby, and that baby may be helping you feel better about all the hard things that are happening. But when it comes to miscarriage, and I know this has been discussed on this podcast as well with stillbirth, you have all the same postpartum issues, healing issues, but no baby. And what can be particularly sort of sneaky about postpartum after a miscarriage is that it's not even, you didn't go through the whole pregnancy, right? So you may have only known you were pregnant for a week or a month or, maybe a couple months. There wasn't that full time to sort of get used to the idea necessarily. And also miscarriages often start sort of unexpectedly, right? So women will usually one of two things, either be in the doctor's office and be given an ultrasound and see that there's no heartbeat and then be anticipating the loss, or the case for many women, including myself, is that you just spontaneously begin bleeding, right? So you're pregnant, you're happy about it, probably. For me, I know I was just super excited to be carrying a baby, and then out of nowhere one day, I just started bleeding. So then all of a sudden, I'm entering into this new thing, like, I'm losing the baby, I'm having to give birth to this little tiny baby, was not ready for it. So then that postpartum time then is sort of particularly fraught because it's filled with not just any, normal struggles and normal, hormonal shifts and those kind of things that would happen during a postpartum time, but you also are mourning the loss of this child, the loss of a life that was there and is no longer there. And so some of the things we think about and talk about in our organization with miscarriage and that time afterward in particular, is that you're going to need support, right? I think a lot of times women who suffer a miscarriage might be told by a doctor or, an emergency room, oh, you'll be fine. It'll be, it'll be over soon and it'll just be like a period and then you can get pregnant again, right? But then most of us who've actually gone through it know that is not the case. The miscarriage is often much heavier than a period. And not only do you need the physical supplies to handle that, but also emotional support. It's not a period. It's the loss of a baby, right? It is a postpartum. It is after birth, right? But there's no baby to bring home and cuddle, which is the really hard part, especially if it was sudden and super unanticipated, sort of out of nowhere. So one of the ways that we try to help women through this time, through the Early Pregnancy Loss Association, is through our miscarriage care kits. And they were designed over, a period of time. We've sort of refined them over the years. And they feature a couple main parts. The first being sanitary supplies. So in our small kit, which is designed for a miscarriage that is mostly complete or after a D&C procedure. So that has some sanitary pads in it, as well as some comfort items and our information about miscarriage that we always provide. Our large kit, which we developed with sort of in consultation with other women who have suffered loss, not only includes those same things, the sanitary pads, the information, and the comfort items, but it also contains a bag that has things to help collect the body of a baby if you're planning to miscarry at home. And then with that, there's some things like a hot pack, cold pack, those kind of things to help manage that process at home. We found in our first few years of existence that women were feeling unprepared for miscarriage of all kinds, but particularly an anticipated miscarriage at home. And so we developed the large kit for that purpose to help women have what they needed at home. Interestingly, we talk a lot, I think women still are, they are better cared for postpartum than perhaps they were, a generation ago. We have, if you're in a community where people will bring you meals and that kind of things, that's wonderful. But that's after the birth of, a full-term baby usually. that does not happen as much after a miscarriage, right? And partly it's because of we don't have the social script to know how to care for women after miscarriage. So that's one of the things we're trying to help with too, with our kits and just with our other podcast episodes. Our own podcast is called Hope Blooms. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts, but we encourage anyone listening to take care of those around you postpartum, even if it's a miscarriage. So doing things like taking them pads, taking them a hot pack or a microwavable rice bag that they can heat up, making them tea, right? All these things that you might think about doing for someone who's just had a baby after 9 months. Women who have miscarried are going to need some of those same things because there was the life was lost, birth happened, not in the same way, but the woman is still going to be needing support. She can't just move on and push it out of her mind, which is, I think, what a lot of women feel like they're supposed to do after a miscarriage. But we're here to say that is not the case. Postpartum issues happen after miscarriage as well. And then, in addition to all, like we said earlier, the normal sort of things that happen in postpartum time, there's also the sad fact that you don't have the baby to take care of with you. So with our miscarriage care kits, we have provided since 2018 more than 4,000. I think at this point we're up north of 4,500. We have distributed them to all but one state, one of the small Northeast states, I think maybe Vermont. And we are so thrilled to be able to give those to people who need them. It's sad that we keep having to do it. We always talk about how we're happy to provide these kits to women, but we're sad that we have to, right? That we're sad that miscarriage keeps happening, but the least we can do is help women through that postpartum time after the baby has been lost with our kits. We also have our own podcast, like I said, called Hope Blooms. On there, we have lots of stories about loss, women sharing their own stories. We've talked to doctors, we've talked to grandparents, we've talked to spouses. We have lots of information there about miscarriage. And we also have a blog, which has some information on it, including information about burying a baby, which is another thing that would be particularly difficult to deal with in that postpartum time after a miscarriage. But I think the main thing that we are happy to share about and have this joint conversation with Postpartum on Purpose about is that postpartum does happen after miscarriage, and it's particularly difficult because of the lack of baby. You don't have that little baby to hold. And as someone who has been through both miscarriage and 4 pretty difficult postpartum times, I can say that they were very different, obviously, in certain ways, but then also similar in certain ways. I can say I feel like through all those times, either after a regular labor and delivery or after the miscarriage, it felt at times like no one quite understood how I felt. And so I think there's that commonality in postpartum, no matter the outcome. But knowing that, I think we can work together to help support women in that difficult time. So if you or someone you know is in need of support after a miscarriage, I'd encourage you to go to our website, which is miscarriagecare.com. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. And on the website at miscarriagecare.com, there's a link to a care kit request page. And there, anyone can request a kit either for themselves or for someone else. And then we will send out a kit to anyone who needs it. Or if you are a doctor or if you know a doctor who would like to stock some kits in their office, we're happy to work with them as well. And we can be contacted through that website. And finally, if you would like to support us at all in our mission to make sure no one suffers miscarriage alone, there are links to how to donate or to sponsor a care kit for someone else on our website, miscarriagecare.com. So thanks again, Postpartum on Purpose, for having us today. I am Maria Servold with the Early Pregnancy Loss Association.